Hello everyone, and welcome back to Bunny Musings. This is Bunny, and this is officially the second episode. So, we have officially, did I just say officially twice? Anyways, we have made it further than we have ever been. And yeah, round of applause. Woo! Let's go! Okay, and I don't know. I would have uploaded the first video sooner, but iMovie was being a pain, and I just couldn't figure out how to export it. But it's okay, we got it under control, and things are good, and now we can continue. Um, but yeah, so I was kind of unsure of what exactly I wanted to talk about for the second episode because, like, what do you even start with when your interests are so vast? And yeah, but there's kind of been something going on right now, and so I wanted to talk about it, less about me reporting on the news and more um, how I even got into this fandom space in the first place and kind of how I feel about it. And so, what I'm talking about is like within Korean pop music, within K pop, um, there is a group called Enhypen under Belif Lab, which is like under the bigger corporation that is called Hybe Entertainment, which BTS is under, and different groups like Tomorrow by Together and LE SSERAFIM and Illit and different groups like that. But it was announced recently that the oldest member of Enhypen, Heeseung, is leaving the group to pursue a solo career after like so many years of being in the group, which is kind of crazy. Anybody who's a fan of Enhypen knows that Heeseung is a very beloved member of the group, um, and he is quite quintessential to their sound, and he's sort of known as the ace, which just kind of means that he's really well balanced when it comes to all different sorts of things like singing, dancing. I think he can rap. I'm pretty sure he can rap. And Hypen is different from other groups in that they have no set positions for their songs, unlike other K-pop groups that have like main vocals, main dancers, lead rappers, whatever the case may be. And Hypen didn't have any of that except for the leader position, which Heeseung, despite being the oldest member, is not the leader. Um, and there's like a whole thing on how that went down. But anyways, so I kind of wanted to talk about how I felt about him leaving, which honestly, it's quite sad. I sort of missed the last year of them being together because I was off grid working on myself and didn't really engage in fandom spaces. But Enhypen is like my favorite group, like my favorite group, even. And so I kind of have a lot of stories like engaging in their fandom space, and they're kind of the first group that I really like dove into that instead of just like existing on the perimeter like a little meerkat and just looking at what's going on. This was the first group that I sort of um, really got into photo card trading and even collecting photo cards to begin with, and uh, like going to their concerts. Like I traveled to go to their concerts. So it's it's hard hearing news in the industry already. You know, it's sad hearing about different scandals that go on and whatnot, but it is particularly um, impactful when it's a group you really care about. Um, because it's different when you're just more of a casual fan and you know, you can kind of just be like, oh, didn't really know them, but I liked their music. And it's more like, wow, I spent time watching their variety content and I've been following them for years. And now the group is being changed in a very fundamental way. And yeah, so there's kind of been some protests to get Heeseung back into the group because there's quite a bit of speculation around the situation. I really am not going to talk about what is going on, but I will say that I just hope the boys are okay and that all of the members, even Heeseung, are doing well. Um, I know they need rest, and I hope they get it. Um, but yeah, to me, Heeseung will always be a member of Enhypen, just because even if he doesn't continue with the group, he was still a fundamental building of what Enhypen is as a name and a brand and a group. And so, I don't know, I think you really can't discount the work that he put into that. But yeah, so um, I got into Enhypen shortly after they debuted because they debuted in about, I think it was November 30th of 2020, so like right in the middle of COVID. And so I got into them a few months after that. I believe it was the spring of 2021. And it was like right before they were going to release their first ever comeback, which was Border Carnival. Yes. Yes, Border Carnival. I was like trying to remember their album names. And yeah, so what really got me is that they were formed on this survival show called Island. And now I didn't watch that, and I actually didn't watch it until much later in like my journey of liking them as a group because I don't know, just survival shows, they're pretty intense, especially when it comes to K-pop, and I hadn't experienced those yet, and I was just like, do I want to subject myself to watching these guys I care about cry? No, I don't. But eventually I started doing K-pop journaling or like dabbling in that, and I wanted to do a profile on each of the members, and I was like, well, I have to see where they came from. And so what really inspired me was ultimately that they all were pursuing their dreams, basically. And when I got into them, I was at a particularly low point in my, I don't want to say mental health, but like I was just kind of lost as to what I was doing, you know, like COVID was happening and I was in my junior year at the time. And so, was I in my junior year? No. I was still a sophomore when I got into them, but eventually I became a junior. Um, wow. Okay. This changes the timeline. Anyways, so yeah, I really just didn't know where I was going or what I felt like doing with my life. And they were just pursuing their dreams. And as I mentioned in my last video, doing content creation has always been my dream, even though I didn't openly admit it. And so I was like, wow, if they can do it, why couldn't I do it? You know, like there's something about setting your mind to something and really like putting in the hours to making that happen. Um, because as K-pop trainees, they sort of, grind relentlessly and they give up sleep and a lot of their personal freedom and social stuff, which isn't particularly healthy. I don't think I would endorse doing that. Um, but, you know, um, I think there's a bit of a beauty in deciding to do something and actually going for it. And so that's sort of what they taught me as a group at that time. And so that was actually when I tried to do this stuff, but then I didn't end up following through with it because I had school and I was busy. But it's just like, and then now to be actually starting this and actually pursuing it and to have such a fundamental change in the group, like right around the time that I'm finally making this decision. I don't know, it just hit me in a particular way where I was like, wow. Well, wow, I cried. Um, but yeah, it's just, I don't know. Because, like, to some extent, like, you form an attachment to these people that you see online. And I know that people tend to criticize parasocial relationships, but I think my aphantasia or my lack of mental images kind of helps me in that front because I don't think that they know me. And honestly, I don't even recognize them as like beings that are 3D and exist sometimes because it's like, wow, you only see them on a screen most of the time, and you only see them in real life if you go to concerts or attend whatever fan events and or like fan signings that they happen to be at. But it's, I don't know, it's just like you like the persona that they have, and like as a person you genuinely want them to do well and you want them to be happy and to like keep pursuing their dream. Like ultimately that's what you're rooting for at the end of the day. That's why as a fandom we support them. But to have a change and then be pursuing my own dream is, yeah, it's really strange for me in particular on this timing. But I didn't let it deter me, which is like, why would it? But yeah, it was just, I don't know. It just feels weird. Weird is like the best way I can describe it. But yeah, it's almost like they became a symbol to me in a way. And I may have forgotten that over the years, but it came back to me when I saw the announcement that Heeseung was departing the group to pursue a solo career. And it's not that I don't want him to have a solo career. I absolutely do. Like, I think he's phenomenal and that he'll do a great job. Um, like, do I wish that he was doing a solo career and still in the group? Yeah, I do. I wish, you know, but obviously there's things we can't control within the company, and there's stuff behind the scenes that we don't know. And at the end of the day, we don't really know them as people. And that's just kind of how it is. But I don't know, as a fan, it's like, damn, you know? Um, so, yeah, ultimately, it's just like, how do you pursue your dream when the model that showed you that that was possible is changing, right? It's like, how do you have faith in what you're doing when um, things in the world are always changing and nothing is ever guaranteed. But honestly, I think maybe that might be what makes the effort more worth it. Because if nothing is guaranteed, like, you still wanted that thing. You know, like, you still wanted to try it and experience it. And I think even if things change down the line, like, it's not a bad thing that you experienced that or that you gave it a shot. Like, it's not wasted effort or time spent incorrectly. It's just sort of like something that happened and it's a part of you. And so, and that's kind of how I think I'm going to treat this whole thing, because nothing is guaranteed and you never know what's going to happen or what's going to change. But I think appreciating the moment is probably becoming increasingly important to me as I'm reminded that things don't stay the same and that, you never know. You really never know. And so, yeah, that was just kind of my reflection on the situation. I don't know. I say I don't know a lot. But yeah. So we shall see what ends up happening with the company and where Heeseung goes from here and where Enhypen goes from here, and maybe even where I go from here, because you the path is long and winding. Yeah, you just nothing. But honestly, that's kind of nice, isn't it? Like, if we knew everything that was going to happen, would we still do it? Or is part of what we like chasing is the curiosity and the uncertainty? So, yes, I'm going to continue to stay in my uncertainty and be comfortably uncomfortable with it. But yeah, so if any of you are struggling with the news, I see you, I get it. Um, it sucks. But hopefully, I don't know, hopefully the members are doing okay. I hope you're doing all right as well. And yeah, that was episode 2 of Bunny Musings with Bunny. And yeah, I hope you have a lovely day, or a lovely night, or a good whenever.